Hi, today I'm gonna show you how to knit this top-down sweater. Let's get started. First of all, I want to show you what it's really like. Okay? This is top-down sweater. Very, very basic. And before you start, please go to my description box because there's the written pattern there, and maybe it's easier for you to understand if you have the written pattern in front of you. And this is going to be a long video, so I'm gonna put the time too. So if you don't need it, you can skip it. Okay? Anyway, let's look at the neck rib. This is very thick double neck rib. If you don't like this, you can skip it. I'll show you my summer sweater I knitted before. I didn't create the double neck, so very thin and raw edge. If you like this raw edge, fine. You don't have to do the double neck. All I did is, the make long rib and fold it like that. That creates the, double neck. Easy. Also, underneath of the neck rib, I knit rib edge like that. So double neck rib and rib edge, that actually make very professional sweater look. Okay? And again, it's really up to you. Okay, this is summer sweater. There's no neck rib, nothing wrong with it. Right? After the neck rib, you can start knitting yoke right away. It's really up to you. Okay, so again, I'm gonna put the timing in my description box. So if you don't need it, you can skip it. Okay. Then after the rib edge, increasing row starts. Okay, until you hit the under your armpit, slowly increase, and you will knit shoulder and body together. And I decide I am going to add cable knitting from shoulder all the way down to the sleeve. Okay, you need 12 stitch for cable. You don't need it, you can skip it. And the increasing method, you know again, the summer sweater, there's a hole. Okay, this is just a regular yarn over technique, and I really like this, the texture, but wintertime, so I want to close it. Okay, so which is make one left and make one right, easy, increasing method. Then if you knit long enough, you separate the body and sleeve. Then you knit body parts first. Then after that, you rejoin the yarn and start rest of your shoulder. Then shoulder, you have to decrease slowly, right? By the way, I use leftover yarn. Okay, so that's why I have a little different color here and there. Okay, so the yarn, it's really up to you. Okay, the needle I use 3.5 millimeter for rib, and everything else is 4.5 millimeter. Right, so let's get started. cast on, multiple of 12. I made 96. And as you can see, my neck is very skinny. So, 96 was enough. But, if you want to get the bigger neck, maybe you need a little bit more. Okay? Neck rib. Okay? Make sure, okay, the cast is not twisted. Okay? And you have to face to the right side of the stitch. Okay? Then the rib I just made was repeat of knit 1 and purl 1. Okay? And if you do the double neck, you have to knit until your desired length times 2. So I was thinking maybe my neck rib should be, 1.5 inch because double, so I don't really want to do long. So I made 3 inch of the neck rib, then fold it. Okay, so the neck rib, repeat of knit 1 and purl 1 until your desired length times 2 if you want to do double neck rib. So I did about 3 inch, then folded in half. So ended up 1.5 inch neck rib. Okay. Okay, let's start double neck rib. You're facing to right side. Okay. I removed the uh, begin marker because it's kind of awkward to do the double neck rib. You know, After this, the biggie marker comes back. Don't worry about it. And anyway, you have to fold in half, inward, like that, straight. Okay? Don't twist or, anything like that because you have to pick up the stitch at the very bottom. Okay? Same line. So the first stitch should be knit stitch, right? Because, the neck rib starts knit 1. Okay, wrong side of the knit stitch is obviously purl. So you have to pick up at the end of that purl stitch, which is on wrong side I'm talking about. There you go. Pretty much, any stitch if it's, at the very bottom, just like that with left needle. Then you have to knit 2 together. There. You just picked one, then knit 2 together. There you go, like that. Then next stitch, purl. So you have to do purl 2 together. So put the working yarn at front, then pick up next stitch. At the bottom of the next stitch, the wrong side should be knitting stitch, right? Just like that. Pick up the stitch at the very bottom, then now purl 2 together. And you have to do this one round. There you go again. Next is knit stitch on right side. So purl stitch on wrong side. Okay? So pick up at the very bottom of the stitch with left needle. There we go. Then now knit 2 together. It's sometimes, hard to, knit 2 together and purl 2 together because it's, kind of tight area, but just take your time. Okay, it's going to be really nice look, professional look. So just be patient. Okay, and after this I'm going to do the rib edge, so it won't show anything around there. So don't worry about picking up the wrong stitch or whatever. Just to make sure, you have to go straight down the pick, you know same line of the stitch. Okay, that's all. You have to be careful and do same thing one round. Okay, just finished. Looks like this. Okay, if yours looks like this, fine. Okay, you did it. Now I am going to knit rib edge. And again, if you don't want to do the rib edge, skip this part. Okay, so let's start. Rib edge row number 1, easy, all knit. Okay, rib edge row number 1, all knit. So put the begin marker back in, then start knitting one round. Okay, by the way, this rib edge only 5 rows, only 5 rows, so it's pretty easy. Don't worry about it. Okay, so rib edge row number 2, knit one first. Okay, knit one first, then repeat starts after knit one. Okay, first of all, you have to pick up the previous stitch down there. Okay, so previous stitch and put on to the left needle. Okay, can you see? There we go. So it seems like you increase the stitch. Okay, then purl one with the one you just picked. Then original stitch, knit one. And you have to keep doing this. Now it's all knit stitch, so it's easy to pick up the previous stitch like that. Okay, there we go, pick up, then purl one with you just pick, then knit one. You just keep doing same thing one round. This is the rib edge row number 2. Pick up one, then purl one, then knit one. Rib edge row number 3. The first stitch, slip one, knit wise. Okay, slip one, then repeat starts. Yarn front, okay, and you make purl, but you have to use back loop, okay, from behind. This is a little bit awkward, okay, back loop, then from behind. Okay, purl one. There we go. Then yarn back, slip one, purl wise. One more time. Yarn front, purl one with back loop and from behind, then purl one. Okay? Then yarn back, slip one purlwise. Okay, one more time. Yarn front, then purl one from behind. There we go. Then yarn back and slip one purlwise. Rib edge number 4. Knit 1 to start, then repeat starts, repeat off, yarn front, slip 1 purlwise, then yarn back and knit 1. Easy. This is easy. Yarn front, slip 1 purl, yarn back, then knit 1. You have to repeat 1 round. Okay? Rib edge row 5. This is the end for rib edge. Okay? So, yarn at the back, and you have to flip the stitch kind of knitwise like that. Okay? Then put the stitch back on. There you go. Then purl 2 together from the behind with back loop. Okay, this is a little bit awkward, but hang in there and take your time. Once you get used to, this is easy. Okay, there you go. Purl 1, sorry, purl 2 together. Okay, yarn back, flip knitwise, put it back on, then purl 2 together with back loop and from behind like that. Purl 2 together. You have to repeat until one last stitch. Okay, flip knitwise, back on, then purl 2 together from the behind. There we go. And last one stitch should be purl 1. Rule number 3 and rule number 5 for rib edge is a little bit awkward, but it's not that difficult. Okay, so this is the end of the rib edge row. Okay, the purl 2 together from behind is a little bit awkward, but once you get used to, it's not that difficult. Okay, this is it, right? So this is how it looks after you finish row 5. Okay, double rib, then rib edge. It's beautiful. Then now we will start knitting yokes, which is include the body and shoulder part. So now you have to change the needle from 3.5 to 4.5 millimeter. Okay, there we go. And let's start. Elevation of the back. First of all, where the beginning marker is, that's mid stitch of back part. Okay, so count stitch evenly from the beginning marker, left and right, and put the side marker, okay, to divide front piece and back piece. Also, you have to figure it out your magic number X for elevation of the back. My stitch total is 96. Divide by 2, which is back and front, and divide by 6 because I want to, raise about 6 rows for my bag because it fits me really well. Okay, so 6 rows. So how many stitch you have to, knit? 8. I will show you. Don't worry about it. Okay. So anyway, you have to calculate your magic number X. Okay. Elevation row number 1, knit 8 or knit X magic number. Okay. Just knit. And I actually put the marker. I count stitch first and I put the marker so you're never gonna miss it, right? So the orange marker, as you can see, that's my, 8 stitch marker. Okay, so rule number 1, knit X, your magic number. Mine, knit 8. And I just want to raise only 6 rows. Okay, that makes big difference. Okay, so when you knit your magic number, turn the work, then this is wrong side, so this is going to be purl, and you kind of have to, pull tightly first stitch. Okay, and purl 6. In other words, purl 2 times your magic number. As you already know, you increase 8 stitch in each, rows. Okay, so next row should be 3 times magic number. For me, 24. So once you hit the 16 stitch, turn near the project. Now you're facing to right side, so knit 24. Okay, your number should be knit 3 times magic number. Okay, and row 4 to row 6, as you can see. Okay, this is the reason why, the whole stitch divide by 2 first, because you only raise the back of the neck, not the front, right? Also divide by 6 because, I want to raise only 6 rows. If you don't want to raise your back of your neck, fine, you can skip it, but believe me, this fits you better. Okay, so anyway, after row 6, you probably hit the halfway. Okay, that's how I calculate. Okay, then when you finish, you have to knit back to begin marker. Okay, there you go. Yeah, right there. Then we will start knitting yokes. Before we start knitting, we have to set up for markers. Okay, and you have to figure it out, magic number Y. Okay, so whole stitch divide by 6, that's magic number Y. Mine, 96 divided by 6 is 16, so my magic number is 16. So I want you to follow my instruction. Okay, so first of all, for the back and front, same stitch number, which is 2 times your magic number. Mine, 16 times 2 is 32. So back and front, I have 32 stitch. But again, the begin marker is mid of the back stitch. And there's the orange marker and green marker inside of the orange marker. That's sleeve part. Okay, and has 16 stitch, the magic number stitch count. Okay, the green stitch, you forget about this right now. Okay, that's actually for cable knitting. Anyway, so the begin marker is mid of the back stitch, right? So you count stitch from the begin marker, which is 16, both side makes 32. Then put the marker. Then count 16 stitch. Then put the marker 2. Okay, that creates both sleeve. Then rest of the stitch for the front part should be 32. Okay, for me. So if your magic number is different than me, you have to calculate. Okay, so get ready now. And also I add green marker inside of the sleeve, and I need 12 stitch for cable knitting. Okay, so you're never gonna miss it. So please set it up for the cable knitting if you wanna add cable knitting. Okay, has to be within sleeve part. Okay, so let's start. Put the begin marker, that's mid of the back. Okay, knit all one, one round. We have to prepare because when you add the elevation of your back, there's tiny bit of the hole, it's, you know, a little noticeable, okay? So knit one, I should say it's a little gap. So knit one round, then let's start increasing row, okay? There you go. So before we start, increasing row is always around the orange marker, not the green one. Green one is for the cable knitting, okay? So you have to think two things. You have to follow two patterns, I should say. One is increasing and the other one is cable knitting pattern, okay? Increasing row number one, knit until last stitch before next marker, okay, right there. So for me, only knit 16 stitch right now, okay, one last stitch, okay, then you stop. There you go. One last stitch before the marker. You will knit, make one right. You have to use running thread, okay? Pick up the running thread with left needle from the back. That's make one right. There you go. Then knit one there. Okay. Take your time. There you go. Knit one increase. Then knit one, slide the marker, then knit one. Now, left side of the orange marker, right? So you have to have make one left, which is pick up the running thread from the front, then use the back loop, then make one left, then knit. And you have to do exactly same thing around orange marker. Okay, forget about the green marker. Every orange marker you have to increase. Okay, one on your right and one on the left. Okay, so the right side make one right and left side make one left. Okay, then the cable the knitting, you have to follow the cable knitting pattern. Okay, now slide the cable marker, then knit 1 of the cable knitting is purl 2, knit 8, and purl 2. Okay, again, please go check my description box. I put the written pattern down there. Okay, so you have to follow written pattern. Okay, it's easier for you. There we go, that's cable. Then now you need one more stitch, right? Because you have to make one right before the one stitch, the marker. There you go. From the behind, then knit 1 there. Then knit 1 last stitch, then slide the marker, then knit 1, then this time knit 1 left, which is pick up the running thread from the front, then back loop, kind of, purl wise, then knit 1. Okay, you gotta do same thing the other side. Knit all the way down to next, the marker. Always one stitch left, then make one right and make one left. Just follow the written instruction, please. There you go. All the way down. And just knit. I'll show you one more time, okay? The right side of the orange marker, so make one right. Pick up the running thread from the behind, okay? Then knit there. After you make one right, just knit 1, then slide the marker. There you go. And knit 1 first, then make one left, which is pick up the running thread from front and use the back loop, then knit 1 there. There we go. Then now cable knitting. Again, purl 2, knit 8, and purl 2 because 12 stitch there. Okay, and go back to begin marker. Please do not increase around the begin marker. Okay, only total of 8 stitch increase on increasing row, not around the begin marker. Make sure about it. Okay, and increasing row number 2 is easy, actually all knit. So hang in there, one more. There you go. Increasing row, always increasing around every single marker, except the obviously, cable knitting marker. Okay, it's a little bit confusing, so take your time, check the pattern all the time. Okay, knit 1 there, then make 1 left, and I think this is the last stitch, right? And knit all the way down to begin marker. Okay, then again I said the increasing row number 2 is easy, it's all knit, and you just have to repeat, increasing row number 1 and row number 2 until you hit the armpit area. Okay, there you go. Only increase around orange marker for me. Repeat increasing row number 1 and row number 2. Okay, 1 2 1 2, and then within the cable knitting marker you have to follow cable knitting pattern. Okay, and if you knit the sweater for somebody else, all you need to know is the length from neck to, you know, armpit area. So you might want to, measure that length. Okay. If you don't like to follow two different pattern, which is increasing and cable knitting, forget about the cable knitting. Okay, you can't forget about the increasing. So, but it's not that difficult, to be really honest, and uh, I definitely wanted, add cable knitting on the shoulder and sleeves. So, it's not that bad, but if you're not, sure, you don't need to. Okay, there you go. Cable knitting. Again, this is the increase in row number 2. That's why I didn't increase. Anyway, the cable knitting row 2 and row 5, same as row number 1. Purl 2, knit 8, and purl 2. Easy. Okay? And cable row number 6. Okay, I assume you'll keep doing increasing row, which is row number 1 and row number 2. Anyway, I want to show you the cable knitting. Okay, row number 6, purl 2, and C8B. Okay, now you need cable needle. Okay, C8B is cable 8 back. So pick up 4 stitch after purl 2 and put those 4 stitch with cable needle at the back. C8B, B is back. So put the cable needle at the back, then knit 4, okay, from the left needle first, because you have to twist now. Okay, knit 4, then come back to cable needle, then knit 4 from the cable needle. This is it. Actually, cable knitting is easy because it consists 12 rows, and only row number 6 is the cable knitting, and everything else is same. Purl 2, knit 8, and purl 2. Okay, again, check my description box. There's written pattern, easier to follow. Okay, and don't be scared about the cable knit. Only row 6 is the cable knitting, and everything else is pretty much straightforward. Again, I want to summarize. Number 1, repeat of row number 1 and row number 2 for increasing row until hit your armpit. Number 2, for cable knitting, row number 1 to row number 12, except row number 6 are same, purl 2, knit 8, and purl 2. And row number 6 is only purl 2, C8B, and purl 2. And for the cable knitting, you just have to repeat row number 1 till row number 12, just repeating, okay? And you gotta keep knitting until the length is long enough. And this is what it's really like. I have a longer cable, so I just put it on and make sure it's long enough for the my armpit, okay? And if you don't have long enough cable, you can use the scrap thread. Okay, so this is the sweater, okay? The rib and back of the rib, I raised a bit, right? And we just make the double rib neck, and then I add the rib edge too. So if this is not your sweater, where you have to measure is right there. Grab the very comfortable sweater, then check from armpit to neck like that. And mine's a 9-inch long. Okay, then the sweater you're knitting, make sure you have 9-inch. Those, the increasing line, as you can see, where the orange marker, you have to just measure. And it's 8-inch, which means you still have to, increase a little bit more until you hit the 9-inch right there. There we go. That's how you figured it out if you don't want to wear it or this is not for yours. Okay? So I think I have to ink lift a little bit more, then separate the shoulder and body. Okay? And I want you to make sure to finish with increasing row number 2, which is all knit. Also for the cable knitting, you have to finish with cable row number 2, 8, 10, or 12, not any other row. Okay, so let's separate the body and sleeves. Knit until first marker. There we go. Then that's sleeve stitch after that, right? So with the scrap yarn, pick every single sleeve stitch, okay, with the scrap yarn. And you're not gonna, knit sleeve for a little while until the body finish. Okay, the cable knitting, just pick up the stitch and leave the cable marker there. Okay, so right, when you start knitting your sleeve. So just like that. There you go. Okay, so once you finish picking up, you have to reconnect the body parts. Okay, and I want to show you, you know, how to do. So please don't just, start knitting to the other side. Okay, so I finished picking up all the stitch for sleeve. I tied the knot. Okay, and just make sure not dropping any stitch off. There we go. Now I have to reconnect body, which is the front and back piece, right? To do that, okay, I want to add 8 new stitch. I should say new cast, which is right under the armpit. Okay, so 8 new cast you have to add. Okay, hold the yarn like that. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. There you go. Then keep knitting after that. This is we join the back piece and front piece. And meet you the other side of the sleeve. You just have to do same thing. Okay? Okay, here comes the other side of the sleeve. Again, remove the orange marker. Then with scrap yarn, pick up all the slip stitch. Transfer onto the scrap yarn. We will knit sleeves after body finish. Okay? And again, you have to add 8 new cast. Then rejoin the front and back piece. After this, you just have to knit until your desired length for body. This is going to be basic sweater. So, there's no waistline decreasing or increasing anything, just straightforward. Just knit until your desired length. Pretty much it. And then you make a rib at the very bottom of the sweater. That's it. Okay? Very easy. There we go. And the how do you know you hit the desired length or not? You can measure your old sweater, or you can put it on and make sure it's long enough. Okay? And around that new cast, just forget it. Just knit as usual. Okay? There you go. That's the new cast. It's a little bit loose, but once you knit in more and more rows, it's gonna be, much tighter. So don't worry about it. You can't really pull that hard, so you can't, put the needle in. So you grab loosely and then knit. Okay. I don't really like, knit on the new cast because I maybe tend to pull a little bit hard like that, right? So just relax, okay? Again, knit around and around and around after this, okay? Then maybe you have to put it on. You don't have to, but I did to make sure how long I want to, knit for body, right? So I decide I'm gonna make it really short for body. Well, that's because, I'm using the leftover yarn and I wasn't quite sure, I had enough leftover yarn. So around the waist area, that's about it. Okay. So again, once you reach desired length for body, you change the needle now 3.5 millimeter, then start the rib at the very bottom for the body. Okay, I don't have to show you how to knit the body because it's just a knit around and around. Okay, then the rib is same as the neck. Repeat of knit one and purl one until your desired length. Then knit one, purl one, cast off. That's about it. It's very straightforward, you know. And my the rib length was about maybe 2 inch, 2.5 inch, something like that. And the second row of the rib, just knit over knit stitch and purl over purl stitch. Very easy. Okay. So again, the sweater starts with the neck rib and then make the double neck rib, then rib edge, start, slowly increasing, knitting, yoke, then separate the sleeve and body, then leave the sleeves alone, then finish the body, then change the needle, now make the rib, then knit one, purl one, cast off. Okay, then start with sleeve after this. Okay, and obviously you have to, weave the ends off. Okay, so let's do the sleeve again. Now sleeve, the scrap yarn, right? So you have to transfer all the sleeve stitch onto needle. The needle size should be 4.5. Okay, there you go. That's the bottom of the body. Okay, and there you go, sleeves. Let's do that. I already actually knit the one sleeve. Okay, so you have to prepare. Again, starting the cable knitting from the bottom of the neck until the wrist rib. You just do the cabling, which is easy, right? Okay, again, transfer all the stitch back with 4.5 millimeter needle. Okay, then let's make a plan for sleeve. Number one, how long do you want for sleeve? I check with my old sweater, and I probably need 14 more inch from the where you stop. Okay, number two, how many stitch do you want for wrist? And I wrap around my wrist with the body and about 50 stitch. You don't want to have too tight. Now you have to count sleeve stitch. I had 78 stitch. So easy, I have 78 stitch now, and around near the wrist I need only 50, which means 78 minus 50 is 28. I have to decrease 28 stitch within 14 inch. This is my case. Okay, so 28 stitch divided by 2 is 14 stitch, because decreasing row you will decrease 2 stitch at same time. Okay, so you have to decrease 14 times, which is 2 stitch, 28 stitch. So 14 inch divided by 14 is 1 inch. So every 1 inch I will have to decrease 2 stitch. Okay, did you get that? If you don't, you go back and check the plan, or go down to description box. Okay, so you need begin marker and 2 other marker. You don't really need to if you don't want to, but for just in case, I you know do need 2 other. And first row, okay, you just have to knit one, and then around that, the 8 new cast under armpit, you have to knit up. That's 8 new cast in the middle of the 8 stitch. That'll be new begin marker. Okay, so 8 stitch divided by 2, so 4, right? So 4 stitch, put the begin marker there, right there, and then another 4 there. But I want you to knit up 2 extra. Okay, outside of the 8 new cast, I want you to pick 1 extra each, both side, and I put the marker. Okay, because one last stitch of the sleeve original stitch, and right there. And the new knit up stitch, I need to do something. Also, the first stitch of the sleeve original and last stitch of the knit up, I do something to try to minimize the hole around the armpit area. Okay, and I will show you, so please don't worry. Now you will start knitting. Okay, you don't really need the two markers if you get confused. Okay, let's rejoin the yarn. Then all knit one round. Okay, and this is nothing difficult. Just put the needle in to one first stitch and then start knitting. Okay, I'm using end tail as well, but looks like a two stitch I'm making, but it's not really. Okay, and knit through right there. Okay, and one more thing about the cable knitting, you don't really have to worry, right? It's not the cable knitting row. It's just a purl to knit 8 and purl to row. So you don't really have to. You just follow the pattern. This is the reason why I told you, you have to stop certain row. So you don't really have to worry about the cabling. You don't want to think two things at one time, right? So the cabling part, just purl 2, knit 8 and purl 2. That's it. Okay, so I just knit original sleeve stitch, then now knit up. You knit up 10 stitch, 8 stitch, that's right on the new 8 cast. Then before that, 1 stitch, knit up, right? Then 8 new cast. You have to knit every single 8 new cast. Then after 8 new cast knit up, you knit up 1 more extra. So total of 10 stitch knit up. Okay, and don't forget to put the new begin marker, which is this in case 5, right? 5 knit up, then put the begin marker, right? Then another 4 plus 1 equal 5 more knit up. Then after that, knit until the marker, which is one last stitch of the sleeve original. Okay, so I knit 4, then put the one marker, then one last knit up, and after the marker, this one last knit up and first original stitch, I have to use those two to minimize the hole later, next row. Okay, so knit through the next marker area. That's the last stitch of the original sleeve. Okay, What I'm trying to do with those two stitch, okay, I am going to do SSK with those two. Okay, pick up the one extra, then decrease, and same thing, you know, the last knit up stitch and first sleeve original stitch, I do knit two together to minimize the hole around there. Okay, so anyway, knit one more round. Here comes. Okay, so knit until the marker. There you go. Then the last sleeve original and first knit up stitch, you have to do slip, slip, knit, one decrease. Then knit till the other side of the marker. Pass the begin marker and knit 4 stitch, then last knit up stitch and first sleeve original stitch, you have to do knit 2 together. This is how you connect, rejoin, the yarn, then start knitting sleeves. Okay, so now you focus on the cable knitting, right? So this is the reason why you have to remember where you stop for the cable knitting. Okay, and then now I want to talk about the decreasing, how to decrease. And I think you still remember, for my case, every 1 inch I will decrease 2 stitch. That's around the begin marker. I'm just showing you the other side of the armpit area. There's not big hole, okay? And around there, there's gotta be the end tail yarn, and you can knit up if still the hole is visible. Okay, so you don't really have to worry about the little tiny hole right there. Okay, so anyway, let's talk about the decreasing after this. Okay, 1 inch has 6 row for me. Okay, so I pretty much decrease 2 stitch every 6 row, something like that. Okay, so you have to knit until last 3 stitch before the begin marker. Again, decrease method always around the begin marker. You have 3 stitch left. Okay, and you do knit 2 together and knit 1 before the marker. Okay, so 1 stitch on the right side of the begin marker and 1 stitch on the left side as well. Okay, anyway, last 3 stitch before the begin marker, knit 2 together, 1 decrease, then knit 1 and slide the begin marker. Okay, so on the left side, knit 1, slip 1 stitch purlwise, the working yarn at the back, then knit 1, then pass slip stitch over and 1 decrease, so 2 decrease around the begin mark, and then keep knitting. So again, according to my calculation, every 1 inch I have to do the decrease 2 stitch, right? And I check my body, somewhere, and 1 inch I count the stitch, and there's 6 row. So I decide every 6 row I will decrease 2 stitch. Okay, that's how I decide. And after that, it's easy. Just keep knitting. Okay, two things you have to remember is cable knitting and decreasing, and when to stop. I don't really want to stop far from the C8B, which is the cable row number 6, because you know I just don't want it. It's really up to you, when to stop. I'll show you the other side of my sleeve. Okay, I stop. I think around cable knit row 8. So the cable, knitting at the very end, you know, that's kind of nice to me. It's really up to you. So I think I finished cable knitting row number 8. Then start making rib. So, it's really up to you. It depends. If you don't like the cable knitting close to rib, you don't have to. Okay, it's really up to you. And don't forget, you have to change the needle for, wrist rib, okay? And make sure the stitch count should be multiple of 2. Mine, 50, right? So, and one more thing for decreasing, you have to make a rule. Like, okay, every 6 row or every 8 row, something like that, because, you kind of want to decrease nice and smoothly, right? So anyway, I finished the sleeves. Now I'm going to change the needle to 3.5 from 4.5. Then start making rib. And again, you have to do exactly same thing as the other side of the sleeve. So the first sleeve, you have to write it down. How many stitch you made and how many row you did for rib and all that. Okay, otherwise, the right side is longer than left side, something like that. And you don't want that happen. Okay, so that's about it. This project, it's actually easier than it looks. Okay, and this is very basic. You don't really have to worry about the cable knitting, as you know, right? Anyway, the rib, repeat off, knit 1 and purl 1 until your desired length, right? And whenever you hit the desired length, you do the knit 1 and purl 1 cast off. Okay, some people don't like the purl cast off because the yarn at front, but you just put the yarn at back and then pass the stitch over, because next is knit anyway. That's about it. If you have any question, please leave the comment. Okay, I will try to help you. Enjoy knitting. Bye for now.